In a stunning turnaround that underscores the effectiveness of bold leadership in combating urban crime, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, a lifelong Democrat, has publicly acknowledged the dramatic success of President Donald Trump's federal crime crackdown in the nation's capital, crediting it with slashing violent crime by 45% and carjackings by an astonishing 87% in just weeks, proving that decisive action can reclaim streets from chaos and restore safety for residents long plagued by lawlessness. This admission, coming from a mayor who initially decried the initiative as unsettling and unprecedented, highlights a rare bipartisan moment in an era of deep political divides, as even critics are forced to confront the tangible results of Trump's aggressive strategy to federalize law enforcement in high-crime areas. As Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche explained in a riveting interview on Fox News, Sunday Night in America with Trey Gowdy, this crackdown isn't just about arrests. It's a comprehensive overhaul that dissects Democratic opposition rooted in ideology over practicality, while laying out the mechanics of deporting illegal migrants who contribute to crime waves, offering a blueprint for saving American cities from the brink. The story begins with the dire state of Washington, D.C. before Trump's intervention, a city where residents lived in fear amid surging violence. In 2024, the capital saw record highs in homicides, carjackings, and assaults, with critics blaming soft on-crime policies like no cash bail and reduced policing under local Democratic leadership. Mayor Bowser, who has governed the district since 2015, faced mounting pressure as businesses fled and tourism dwindled. Trump's return to the White House in January 2025 brought promises of swift action, and by midsummer, he made good on them with an executive order deploying federal agents, including U.S. Marshals, ICE officers, and National Guard units, to take over key aspects of law enforcement in D.C. This move, part of a broader, Day One-inch agenda that included mass deportations and cracking down on leaks in government, was met with fierce resistance from Democrats who labeled it an overreach, a rogue regime tactic that threatened local autonomy and civil liberties. Yet, as Bowser herself admitted in a press conference on August 27, 2025, the results speak volumes. "We greatly appreciate the surge," she said, noting the 12-day streak without murders and a sharp decline in gun crimes. 21 This praise from a Democrat mayor in an overwhelmingly blue city is not just lip service. It's backed by data showing overall crime down 19%, violent crime plummeting 30%, and carjackings reduced by 87% since the federal oversight began. 27. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, a key architect of Trump's justice policies and a former personal lawyer to the president, appeared on Sunday Night in America to break it all down. Hosted by former Congressman Trey Gowdy, the show aired on August 31, 2025, and Blanche used the platform to methodically dismantle Democratic arguments against the crackdown. He started by addressing the core opposition. Democrats, he argued, prioritize ideological commitments to equity and reform over public safety, often viewing federal interventions as authoritarian rather than necessary. 39 inches They talk about due process and rights, but what about the rights of victims? Blanche posed rhetorically, echoing Trump's own vows to impose the death penalty for killers and end no-cash bail systems that release violent offenders back onto the streets. 16 He pointed to Chicago as the next target, where Trump has threatened similar federal takeovers if local leaders like Governor J.B. Pritzker continue to resist, warning that Democratic-run cities are lawless zones where criminals thrive under lenient policies. Blanche's explanation of deportations was particularly illuminating, providing a step-by-step guide to how the administration is tackling the intersection of immigration and crime. He began with the basics. Under Trump's executive orders, ICE agents are embedded in local operations, prioritizing the removal of undocumented migrants with criminal records. It's not about rounding up families, it's about targeting those who break our laws, Blanche clarified, noting that thousands of agents have been diverted from other duties, like child abuse investigations, to focus on immigration enforcement. 9 The process starts with identification through federal databases and local arrests, followed by expedited hearings where due process is afforded but streamlined to avoid delays. Blanche addressed controversies, such as whistleblower claims that DOJ officials like Muriel Bowser pushed to defy court orders on deportations, dismissing them as hyperbole from disgruntled employees. 44 He cited successes, like the deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a smuggler wrongly sent back to El Salvador but later returned to face charges, as evidence that the system works when enforced rigorously. 50 in D.C., this has meant ICE agents patrolling alongside Marshals, leading to hundreds of arrests and removals that Bowser now credits for the crime drop, even as she criticizes the National Guard's presence. 32. Bowser's evolution on the issue is perhaps the most compelling part of this narrative. Initially, she defended D.C.'s autonomy, calling Trump's plan a threat to democracy and expressing concerns over the deployment of unmarked federal agents reminiscent of 2020 protests. 31 inches. We don't need the military here, she said in early August, echoing Democratic talking points about overreach. 19. But as the numbers rolled in, fewer homicides, safer streets, and residents reporting feeling much more safe, her tone shifted. In a PBS update, she highlighted the extreme reduction in carjackings and admitted the federal surge has been instrumental. 29. This reversal has drawn praise from conservatives and even some locals, with business owners in D.C. lauding the calmer atmosphere. 22. Yet, it hasn't been without backlash. Fellow Democrats like Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott remain opposed, insisting it doesn't change my mind on federal interventions. 30. Bowser's comments, however, signal a pragmatic acknowledgement that ideology must yield to results when lives are at stake. Blanche's interview delved deeper into the broader implications, framing the D.C. success as a model for the nation. He criticized Democrats for secretly cheering the crackdown while publicly decrying it, as MSNBC's Joe Scarborough reportedly admitted. 15 inches. Why aren't Democrats criticizing this if it's so bad? Gowdy pressed, to which Blanche responded that the opposition stems from fear of alienating progressive bases obsessed with defund the police rhetoric. He tied this to Trump's larger agenda, including pardons for January 6 participants and drilling expansions, but emphasized crime as the top priority. 3. On deportations, Blanche outlined the legal framework. Migrants entering illegally face immediate removal under expanded expedited processes, with agents using tools like geofencing and databases to track them. He addressed humanitarian concerns, noting therapeutic exceptions for substances like cannabis but stressing zero tolerance for violent offenders. 52 inches. This is about protecting Americans first, he said, citing cases where deported criminals had committed heinous acts upon re-entry. The crackdown's roots trace back to Trump's first term, where similar operations in Portland and other cities faced lawsuits but yielded results. In D.C., the 2025 version builds on that, with Trump accusing Bowser of falsifying crime stats pre-intervention to downplay the crisis. 35 whistleblowers have alleged data manipulation, prompting House oversight investigations. 33 Blanche praised U.S. Marshals for their role, calling the operation extremely successful, and a template for Chicago, where Trump vows to end no-cash bail and deploy forces if needed. 10 Democrats counter that this diverts resources from real threats like child exploitation, but Blanche argued the trade-off saves lives in the long run. 45. Public reaction has been mixed but increasingly positive. X posts from users like @Ezekiel2_1 mocked Bowser's flip with emojis, while @Bishop Wilkins highlighted the Breitbart coverage as proof of Trump's efficacy. 71 residents in D.C. echo this, with one anonymous business owner telling the New York Post, "We feel much more safe now." 22 critics, including Reuters reports on agent diversions, warn of unintended consequences like stretched resources elsewhere. 9 Yet, Blanche dismissed these as partisan sniping, pointing to the DOJ's defensive tactics amid lawsuits. 58. As the crackdown expands, Blanche's appearance on Gowdy's show, known for its insightful analysis blending humor and history, served as a masterclass in policy defense. 59 Gowdy, a former prosecutor, pressed on constitutional concerns, but Blanche reassured that all actions align with federal authority over D.C., a unique district without full statehood. He invoked Alexander Hamilton's Federalist Papers on executive energy, arguing Trump's moves restore order where locals failed. 65 This resonates with voters tired of crime, as polls show support for tough measures rising. Bowser's recognition isn't isolated. Even White House spokespeople boast of the stats, with Karine Jean-Pierre's successor highlighting the 30% violent crime drop. 27 For deportations, Blanche detailed the Stop Illegal Reentry Act, imposing harsh penalties on repeat offenders, and shared anecdotes of agents thwarting smuggling rings. 52 He addressed a high-profile case where a judge suggested the White House stretched deportation laws, but insisted compliance is key. 5. The broader context includes Trump's threats against leakers and rivals, like Chris Christie, but Blanche focused on crime, calling it the silent majority's top issue. 4. In Chicago, a showdown looms with Democrats vowing resistance, but DC's success may sway opinions. 16. As one ex-user noted, this speaks volumes. 26. Ultimately, this saga reveals the power of results over rhetoric. Trump's crackdown, praised by Bowser and explained by Blanche, offers hope for safer cities, challenging Democrats to prioritize people over politics. As deportations ramp up and crime falls, the question remains, will other mayors follow suit, or cling to failed ideologies? The DC experiment suggests the former could save lives nationwide.